But really, I think the focus has to be on defeating our enemy, defeating ISIS. And one of the biggest problems that's getting in the way of that right now is this illegal, counterproductive war to overthrow the Syrian government of Assad.
Let's take it piece by piece. Illegal because?
It's illegal because Congress has not declared war. It's not authorized a war to overthrow the Syrian government of Assad. And it's counterproductive because it works to help our enemy achieve its objective, which is to take over the Syrian government and to take over all of Syria.
And beyond.
And beyond, and presents an even greater humanitarian crisis and a huge threat, not only to the region, but to the world. So just yesterday, before we left Congress, we introduced a bill, a bipartisan bill with Congressman Austin Scott, that would defund the U.S. efforts to overthrow the Syrian government of Assad.
Does this mean that you are not against Assad, that you don't think he needs to be removed?
That's beside the point. My point is, no, well, first of all, no, I don't think Assad should be removed, and here's why. If Assad is removed and overthrown, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, these Islamic extremist groups will walk straight in and take over all of Syria and present that greater threat. They will be an even greater threat, and they will be even stronger. And it will repeat the same mistakes of the past that we've seen in overthrowing a sectarian dictator in Iraq, in Saddam Hussein, of overthrowing a sectarian dictator in Libya, in Gaddafi. And now we're poised to do the very same thing in Syria.
The pushback is that Assad is a despot who is attacking his own people and is seen as being inconsistent with stability in that country.
People said the very same thing about Saddam Hussein, the very same thing about Gaddafi. The results of those two failed efforts of regime change and the following nation building have been absolute. Not only have they been failures, but they've actually worked to strengthen our enemy. And that's why I feel it's so important for us to not repeat that same mistake again in Syria and focus on defeating our enemy, focus our resources on defeating ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and these other Islamic extremist groups that are perpetrating these horrific attacks.
And what do you say to the people there, the Syrian refugees who are running for their lives? Yes, many from ISIS, but just as many from Assad's regime of, obviously oppression on his own people. What do you say to them?
Well, the first and most humane thing that we can do for them is stop this war to overthrow the Syrian government of Assad, because this is what's causing so much of the carnage and so much of what's causing people to want to leave Syria. And secondly is the reason that ISIS, the terror that they're causing there in that region. So we cannot defeat ISIS unless we first stop this illegal, counterproductive war that works directly opposite.
You don't think you can do both?
We can't do both. You can't defeat your enemy if at the same time you're strengthening them at the same time.
And you're strengthening them why? Why are you strengthening
You're strengthening
ISIS?
them because by pouring U.S. dollars, resources, and efforts into this mission of overthrowing the Syrian government of Assad, you are working directly in concert with and helping ISIS, Al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda, these Islamic extremist groups who are trying to overthrow the Assad government, the Syrian government of Assad, so that they can take over all of Syria, so that they can continue to perpetrate the horrific activities that they have been.
You're splitting with the party, you're splitting with your president. What are they saying to you?
I serve the American people. I serve the people of Hawaii. And it's my duty and responsibility to make sure that we do not. I'm a service member, I'm a veteran. And I hear from so many of my fellow soldiers and those who I've served with how concerned they are that we repeat these same mistakes of the past. We have so much at stake here that extends far beyond politics, partisan or otherwise. And that's why it's so important for us as a country and for the threat that poses to us and the world that we defeat our enemy and focus all of our resources in doing that and not get distracted once again by these regime change nation building missions.
Well, it'll be an interesting political play to see how this comes out. Congresswoman Gabbard, as always, I thank you for your service and thank you for showing the American face here in a time of need for the French people.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.